Hello and welcome to my review of every red commander ever printed. If you're new to these reviews, what I do is I reveal the card, give it a 5-star rating out of 10, and either briefly talk about why each card is the rating it is, or I just make some stupid pun or whatever. Now let's begin. Izuka the Useless. There are only 9 red samurai, but it's better than Isao, I guess. Machaao, Western Warrior. I thought this man had a sword tied onto another sword, which would have made him way more interesting. Tell him, Tor. Yeah, you tell him. Yadaro, Wandering Monster. The amount of hoops you have to jump through for this is not worth the benefit you get. Patron of the Icky, the worst in a long line of goblin commanders. Most goblins will barely discount this due to their low CMC, and the effect is fine but not great. Plus, it's not even a goblin. Jawari, the Earth Aflame. This thing has sandworms coming out of its eyes! Yuan Shao, the Indecisive. Imagine being such an awful tactician that history remembers you as the indecisive. Kenwrath, Bright Flame. Normally I would tell you not to run this without the partner, but I consider the color white to be an active nerf to your deck, so you do whatever you want. Rorix Bladewing. Winner of the Gallowbraid Award of having no reason whatsoever for being legendary. Terox Bladewing. Winner of the Morinfane Award of why the hell did you make 2 of these. Brawlin, Sky Shark Rider. While this one's partner also includes white, the blue adds enough that you probably don't want to be flying solo here. Jeska, Warrior Adept. There are some who call me Tim. Aaron the Relentless. His eyes say yes, but his hat says no. Dong Zhao the Tyrant. Look at this absolutely wretched creature. Lutula, Keldon Overseer. I think there was a cycle of these Spellshaper legends, and so far this one is by far the worst. Ishi, Aki Crackhead. That goat is definitely not his mount, he just jumped on that thing. Mojang of Infinite Rage. One of the nastiest Mojang, but unfortunately it still doesn't work from the command zone. Chandler. Nobody told him life was gonna be this way. Varric Bladewing. Stop printing Bladewings, none of these are good. Tuk the Explorer. This works now. Still sucks, but it works. Muxus, Goblin Grandee. Use Goblin Recruiter to fish out the 6 biggest goblins possible and still get run over because they are very small. Joven. These old magic artists just straight up put their signatures right out in the open, huh? Okaun, Eye of Chaos. If you pair this up with Zunderspult, they'll finally unlock the ultimate power of depth perception. Without it, I just don't see it working out. Rowan Kenwrath. I think this has my vote as the single worst Planeswalker commander ever. Tangrowth, Talroom Hero. I hate to make fun of art, but sometimes a card is so incredibly boring, the most interesting thing you can do is point out that it has 2 thumbs on his hand. Lubu, Master at Arms. He means Minmin. I don't know if that is even a relevant joke. I don't play arms. Ryusei, the Falling Star. He's not flying, he's falling with style. Kamal, Pit Fighter. There are some who call me Super Tim. Pianalar. Man, Red has a lot of commanders that suck without their partner. Shimastu, the Blood Cloaked. Doesn't even have a cloak, which I assume means he isn't very good at his job. Fire Kirin. I will say this has a far more interesting effect than the other Kirin. Still not great. Balthor the Stout. Inferior both to the other Barbarian Lord and also his own defiled self. Brothers Yamazaki. Finally, a use for Spy Oh. Maraxus of Keld. Gets -1/-1 whenever he attacks. Great. Gadrak the Crown Surge. Only this low because it's so new. Don't get me wrong, it isn't fantastic either, and Red can't fully take advantage of aristocrat-style decks without relying on tokens, but it's certainly a lot better than Miraxus. Rakamar. Some cards are so uninteresting you can't even make fun of their weird hands. Homura, Human Ascendant. Another card that wants to be a Goblin General, but is completely outclassed by like 7 other cards. Minichi, the Fevered Dream. A really cool effect with very few options to take advantage of it. Martin Stromgold. An effect as complicated as it is overwhelming. Pia and Karan Nalar. Okay, some commanders still suck even with the partner. Ben 10, Aki Hermit. Don't you just hate when an artist paints you while you're busy squatting down to take a shit with an octopus on your head? We've all been there. Achroma, Angel of Fury. Pretty fun to surprise people by turning a 2/2 morph into this, but having it in the command zone kind of ruins the surprise a little bit. Stark of Wrath. A fitting leader of everyone's favorite, put every red chaos effect into one pile deck. Adamaro, First to Desire. What the fuck? My basement's haunted. Fumiko, the Low Blood. Red has quite a few effects like these, and while I think you could make a fun deck out of them, Fumiko is not the best general for it. Squee, Goblin Nabob. Excellent in the 99 of any wheel or discard based deck with red, just a little weak to run his own army. Drakuseth, Maw of Flames. Monstrously powerful, and again, excellent in the 99 of dragon decks, but there's so many legendary dragons you really have to stand out to be in charge. Captain Lannery Storm. I think the idea is to sacrifice 19 treasures during combat and take out your opponent in one hit with this, but if you're generating that much mana, why not spend it on a better commander instead? Slow Bad, Goblin Tinkerer. Pretty self-explanatory, he is both slow and bad. Subira, Tulzidi Caravaner. Another new one, this one probably has more potential than the dragon. Zurzoff, Chaos Rider. Devils are not a very supported tribe, and Devil Tribal is probably a terrible idea, but this seems amazing, so go right ahead. Ib Halfart, Goblin Tactician. I just love sacrificing lands. Kumano, Master Yamabushi. This card is shockingly useless. I mean, wow. Urbrask, the Hidden. Weakest of the Praetors, but when you're comparing yourself to the likes of Elish Norn and Vorinclex, you got a lot to live up to. Anus, Hardened in the Forge. Now I am the hardest man on all of Theros. There is no one harder than I. Kari Zeb, Skyship Raider. We all know who's really running the ship. Pashalik Mons. It's not that it's bad, it's just so much worse than the top goblin bosses. Diao-chan, Artful Beauty. There's some fun politics you can do with this one. I don't really know what your game plan is or how you win with it, but it seems fun nonetheless. Jaya Billard, Task Mage. One of the earliest Planeswalker-esque cards. They've come a long way since. Kazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs. This is a much better commander for the forcing attacks deck in my opinion. Zergo Bell Striker. I consider the fact that this card is way worse than Helm Smasher and completely unfit to lead an army a major flavor win. Hazaret the Fervent. Despite what you may think from Standard a few years ago, Hazaret is not actually that good. Not in Commander anyway. Squee the Immortal. It would be a top tier commander for Food Chain combo decks if only you could legally run Food Chain in the deck. Kirkesh, Onake Ancient. Very fun to brew, a lot less fun to play. I speak from experience. Lovisa Cold Eyes. They are far better options for warrior, and not enough good berserkers for an army, but you best believe this is one hell of a barbarian queen. Varchild, Betrayer of Kaldor. You know, compared to the other colors, red has a lot of just solid commanders, although in past this one can surprisingly hold their own pretty well, which is unexpected from what I thought would be a pretty poor color. Oh, Varchild rocks, by the way. Zerelian of the Claw. While there are other sneak attack style commanders that are better in general, sneak attacking is still pretty freaking strong. Kikijiki, Format Breaker. Just kidding, but the amount of combos this guy can do are insane. Bosch, Iron Golem. Sarkara the Bold. There are some who call me Mega Tim. Heartless Hiritsugu. Hard to pull off, but so sweet when you do. Oh boy, that has two meanings. Oops. Neheb, Dread Horde Champion. I know the fire is supposed to look threatening and all, but it really looks like Jaya or someone just torched Neheb from the inside out, and this is him in his last moments before collapsing into a pile of Lazotep and ash. Ashling the Pilgrim. Half of these decks contain nothing but mountains. I'm not joking. Grenzo, Havoc Racer. Another pretty good Goblin Master, and one that definitely goes in the 99 of those decks. If you want to play a deck that steals enemy spells but isn't as miserable as Send Triplets, Grenzo's your guy. Krenko, Tin Street Kingpin. It's weapon time. Godo, Bandit Warlord. Surprisingly, a top tier deck. Any card that can tutor for the second part of its infinite combo is going to be pretty solid. Chandra, Flame of Kaladesh. Wizards has been really pushing Chandra Tribal in the past few years, and while that makes absolutely no sense lore-wise, it's a pretty funny deck. Ilharg, the Raise Boar. Wow, a god that can sneak attack with huge creatures? The only thing that would make this better is if it also had Indestructible and wasn't targeted by creature spells half the time. Perforos, Bronze-Blooded. Oh, Norin the Wary. One of the most unique, flavorful cards in the entire game. I have no idea what the hell he's doing running so many armies, but you go, dude. Zozu the Punisher. Yes, this is a good commander if you want to cause misery, but I gotta say, after seeing all the green commanders, I'm a little underwhelmed. Lathless, Dragon Queen. Valduk, Keeper of the Flame. Extremely unique and awesome Voltron general. Not much to joke about, but if you want a different take on a tired deck concept, Valduk will give that to you. Tali, Primal Storm. It is a lightning dinosaur that can cast everyone's stuff for free. Who the hell couldn't love this thing? Felden of the Third Path. Finally, I have recreated the love of my life as a machine. Now me and my sweet little Ulamog can live our days out in peace. Perforos, God of the Forge. The most widely used and arguably best creature in the God tribe. The tribe where everything is indestructible and legendary. Obviously this thing is amazing. Neheb the Eternal. Alright, I will tap Heartless Hidetsugu and then attack with my 18 dragons with double strike, and then I'll move to my post-combat main phase and add 187 mana. Zada Hedron Grinder. I have a Zada deck, which to this day is my longest surviving commander deck. And let me tell you, if you want to play a deck that plays differently than anything else in the format, Zada does not disappoint. The amount of times I've drawn 20 cards for 1 mana or trampled over my foes with a bunch of 12/4 double strike goblins should tell you how awesome this deck is. Duretti, Scrap Savant. Turns out, getting very expensive artifacts for almost no cost is pretty good. Torbjorn, Ready to Vark. The amounts of effects that get absolutely blown out of proportion with this man is insane. This card is masterfully designed to translate all the effects Red has had through the years that were too weak for Commander into terrifying clocks that burn away your opponent's life totals. And the number one Red Commander, of course, is Krenko Mob Moss. So you may have noticed throughout this video I've mentioned several commanders that would be good for a Goblin deck if it weren't outclassed by someone else. This is that commander, the Mob Boss so wildly powerful it completely overshadows every other Goblin commander in all of Magic's history, and hopefully future. I don't want to see anything stronger than Krenko. This concludes the review of every single Red Commander. Thank you for watching. I would very much appreciate it if you subscribed, liked, and/or commented in any way, shape, or form. Goodbye!